Mr. Simpson and anybody else that buys that property, I feel really insecure about someone's intent. Circumstances change, and I would like to make sure before we allow 33 acres to be divided into 9 parcels that we're really comfortable that the others will not, some other owner will not come back and say, well, it's R10, I should be able to put 5 more lots on the remaining 55 acres. And then we have Mr. Macon right next door, who already has not agreed to not come back again and ask for 5 acres on his, he wants 5 parcels on 14 acres. And they all border the floodplain. This is prime watershed area, and I think you should look at it very carefully. Thank you very much.
I do have a response, Mr. Chair, if you will. It is not correct to say that we're putting the RR10 on 33 acres. That designation would be for the entire 97 acres. And with the proper zoning and with policy that we would include in the general plan text, it would be very clear what is the intent for this land. So that if, for example, a development application were filed, the proper conditions of approval would attach, and they would be based on what the general plan classification is, but also on the textual language that we find in the general plan.
Thank you, Mr. Lorry. Next speaker, Karen Abshire, followed by Jill Scott, please.
I'm Karen Abshire. I am here on GPU 10-2007. I own the south border of Mr. Murphy's property is my north border. The right-of-way to his property crosses my property and a portion of Mr. Peterman's. It is a 1-lane road. Now they tell me that people have to watch for each other. If someone is coming on, they have to back into somebody's driveway in order to let the other one pass. I've owned the property since 1974. And when the road was originally put in there were 4 parcels. This other 13 acre, 16 acre that Mr. Murphy has just sold was not there. And he did that through a certificate of compliance. Evidently that was portion of a separate parcel originally when the property was bought. I have one question. Did someone make a site visit to the property? Because it has a description as being flat to gently rolling. No, it's moderate to steep. In order to make another place to put a home on there, you'd have to take in earth-moving equipment and flatten it off, and you would have to build roads. When it was surveyed in the early 1900s by Guy Redwine, he stated that the property, in his words, was worthless when it came to looking at rangeland because the brush is so thick on the up above Mr. Murphy's house and all the way up to the top of the ridgeland that you can't even really walk through it. It is, I oppose the allowing him to cut off his house, and I would like it to stay as it is, the whole parcel. There's too much traffic already because parcels behind it and to east of us have been sold off, and the traffic on the road is unbearable. And as Mr. Peterman says, there is no road agreement. So I would ask that you would not approve it. Thank you.
Ms. Abshire, what we have before us is a description of transitioning from gentle sloping, relatively flat area on the valley floor to steep and severely sloping area.
Right, and his house is not on the flat portion of it. It's steep. I would say moderate, and then I agree with the steep in the back.
Okay, thank you. Jill Scott, followed by Christine Alfano.
I'm here on the same parcel, the GP10207. I'm here to represent Colin Murphy, who's out of town due to a death in the family. Basically, what I wanted to say is we've been on the property for approximately 8 years. The property was 2 parcels. We did, through a I forget what it's called, compliance, split the 16 acres off. That was sold. For us, we don't plan on subdividing. There is not an area up there to subdivide. You would never be able to get septics in. That was not our intention. Our main reason for doing it, one reason is to refinance right now. Almost nobody will touch you if you have more than 20 acres. There's a couple places that would do it. You would have to go with a commercial loan, higher interest rate, that sort of thing. Also, when we first bought that place, there is a spot up by the spring. It's already flat, beautiful view. It's always been our dream to build a home up there. And with both houses on the same property, honestly, we couldn't afford to build a home and keep the other one too. We don't have a water problem whatsoever. We have 2 developed springs up there. We have an abundance of water. We have an overflow into a pond, and even when we have this pond completely full, it never runs dry. The people below us all have water problems, and at one point we actually had a hose sharing with the neighbor until we were told we couldn't do that because of some taxation laws from a state water agency. So I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely understand their concerns because they do have water problems. We don't want to make it harder for anybody if our taking water is going to make a difference, but I don't know that it would because we've always had so much. Even when they're totally out, our ponds are still full. So if our water was affecting them, I think that would have made a difference there. The road, yes, it is a problem. It's a mile-long dirt road. They recently put a subdivision up halfway. We're at the end, and there's a lot more traffic. I'm not sure that we should be denied because of all the new traffic and the road being in bad shape, and that the fact that there's not a homeowners. We are willing to be part of a homeowners association or a road owners, but I'm not sure that we should be denied because there's traffic on the road now. Our intent, I want to assure the neighbors, is we would eventually someday we want to build a home up on the hill, and we do have a spot that we've picked out 8 years ago up there, and we don't have any intention of splitting it off and making any more subdivision out of it. Basically, I just wanted to put them at ease that that's not our intention at all, and as long as we have it, we love that property too and the view, and we don't want to share it with anybody else. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Christine Alfano, followed by Pamela Rossetti.
Thank you. My name is Christine Alfano, and thank you for your long day. I also want to thank Phil and Patrick. Phil Gorney and Patrick came out to visit this property. This is application 16-2007. Also, I understand that there's a long history prior even to Carolyn and Gordon Logan owning this property. In the past, people approaching, trying to split this 40 acres. The topography is pretty dramatic. The top of the property where she resides is fully developed with septic, water, home, shop, etc. And then there's a cliff, and she has no access to her lower 20 from her upper where she lives. There is a deeded access road, and I was surprised to hear Phil say that someone is contesting that. I hope no decision will be made until we can clarify. There is deeded access based on the owner's information to me on Kirk Drive off of Black Bart Trail. So, and that was actually at the time of their visit, the planning team came out and we did visit the property upper and lower. We also approached the county. I thought it was in my letter I said a couple of years ago. It's been 5 years since we met with Pam Townsend, and the purpose of that meeting was to just bounce off of